Good evening, folks. How are you all doing? Okay, sorry, just checking in on all the shenanigans. Can you all see and hear me okay? Yes, I've shoved a bot in the chat now, and this was off the bat of the last stream that we did where people were asking for uptime and links and stuff. So there should be a custom set of commands in there. Don't really know what all the features are, but hey. I think there's like a bunch of there is a get system command. Deliberately put that in there. There's another one. There's like Vimeo and YouTube and GitHub, and I think there's Bang What. I think that's it. There you go. Hey, OzJock's joined in. There you go, there's Discord. So it has all the things. Might be worth filtering the bot out on the stream message display. Yeah, I'll figure out how to do that at some point. But I still think it's useful, because if people ask the question and, you know, it kind of appears, then, you know, it's all good. So thanks for joining in. Does everyone remember where we got to? I do. So last time we were on stream, we did some bits and pieces with the net interfaces command. Stop it, Sean. And we moved on to make a .NET 4 version of all the things. So we now have a .NET 4 and a .NET 3.5 version of the stuff that we've done so far. And we did have some issues on the MSF side, wiring in the .NET 4 component for the staging process, and this is to do with the way that MSF works and the way that we have wired our platforms in. So we'll probably revisit that another time. I don't think we're going to cover that on stream tonight, because I don't think it's going to be that exciting, to be honest. But anyway, before we continue, I have some dong ding. I had a massive amount of Gaiakure today, so I'm back on the dong ding oolong this evening. What have you guys got going on? I hope you've got tea, or I hope you have a beverage of some kind, preferably tea. Archbishop apparently, or someone suggested that they have, was it Brussels sprout flavored tea? See, that's just not on. I mean, I love Brussels sprouts, but not as a tea. That's just horrible. Cooper's Pale. Diet Right Lemon Lime Soft Drink. Don't know what that sounds like. Tastes like. Never heard of it before. Anyway, there's been a couple more subs since I fired up last, and the most recent one was Outwolf, who is resubbed. Tier 1 resub. Thanks, Outwolf. Your continued support is very much appreciated, mate. I'm going to now remove evidence of my face and move over to VMware. Okay, so free beanie. Well, you live down near Canberra, so you need a beanie. All right, what I've done is I've just put this back to .NET 3.5, and I've got my .NET 3.5 listener set up here. So let's just make sure that this works as it did last time. Okay, so we've got sysinfo working still. It looks like our session's pretty valid. So I guess at this point, now we know that we had, we've built in support for some simple stuff. We should probably just go through and make sure that we support, I think, the basic core commands before we continue doing the rest of the bits and pieces with standard API. And that will sort of move us back towards implementing channels. So I think from memory we had, we got GUID? Yep, GUID's already implemented because that happens on the MSF side. So you can see we've got CLR and our UUID. So we've got that background and /BG, BG kill, BG list, BG run. These are all UI level stuff. So channels is something we'll come back to. Closing, etc. Exit, we already know how to do. Get timeouts. That's probably what we should look to implement now. So getting the timeouts on the current transport. So very breezy between my ear. Crappy time for Pulse. Oh yeah, well, you know, welcome to Linux on the desktop. Sucks to be you. Hey Rastamouse, thank you for coming in, mate. It's nice to see you again. So I think what we'll do is let's implement get timeouts. In fact, behind the scenes, I believe get timeouts and set timeouts are exactly the same command. Because if you call set timeouts and you give it the timeouts that you want to set, then get timeout will actually return the timeouts that have been set. If you call get timeouts, set timeouts with no parameters, it'll just return how everything currently stands. So let's validate that first. So I'm just going to kill the session off. I think my VM rebooted with updates and whatnot. So let's just have a quick look. So we're going to come back to the network related stuff because I think we're going to have to do some more shenanigans there. I might even do some more work on that by myself behind the scenes and then code it live on stream when I know what I'm doing. Right, so let's go back to, we need to go, I think it's core set time, is it timeouts? It might be a transport thing. Can't remember. I'm going to have to dig it out of MSF, to be honest. So let's exit out of that. Exit out of that, and we'll go ag def cmd set timeout. Set timeout. So it's in dispatcher core. Let's have a quick gander at that. Set timeouts. Alrighty, so what do we do behind the scenes? We are calling set transport timeouts under client core. So let's go and have a look at what that's doing. Might even close this up and reopen this puppy here. It's good to see you guys chatty again. Okay, so, oh, what did I do? I did something wrong. Oh, I chose the wrong file. Whoops. I meant to do this one. Timeouts, set to transport timeouts. So we're well and truly into transports. So we'll probably end up implementing some of the add, remove transport functionality too. We may even start working on the HTTP transport, given that we need to support that soon anyway. Okay, so but for now, let's do the set transport timeouts. Now, if you have a look here, see how when we call set transport timeouts, we're doing it in two spots. Look over here to the left. We're passing in options in one case, and we're not doing it in the other case. So get and set use exactly the same thing. If you pass in empty ops, none of these parameters here get set. And then we basically get all of the things out that we get returned from Metasploit, and we pass those back to the caller. So we're looking for TLV type transition expire, and this is the name of the thing that we need to implement. So let's duck over here. And now this is a MetServe feature. So plugin manager. We have a command handler here, which we have been using for other bits and pieces. So for core related stuff, we might leave this inside this this file, and we might refactor it out into something transport related later on. So what we want to do is go manager.register function string.empty core transport set timeouts. It is not a blocker. We will go transport set timeouts. Okay, And that means we need one of these. Okay. Transport set timeouts. Righto, so we're gonna return this is inline processing result, continue. Righto, so this will actually be run on a separate thread. So what we need to pull out are all of the values that happen to be sitting on the wire. Now, one thing that we haven't necessarily catered for is whether or not a value has been passed in by MSF. We haven't really got the notion of optional values. So maybe we need to go through and adjust a couple of things and maybe use some nullable values in cases where the values don't actually exist. So if we look at Proto, when we have a look at TLVs, we can see that we've got the ability to get a value out of the TLV by calling value as dword, bool, etc. But that only happens if the TLV array or dictionary contains the elements that we're looking for. So if we do this, effectively what we're looking to do is get the equivalent values of these out. So let's look for session expiry to begin with. Okay, so we're going to need to go request dot TLVs. So what we're looking for here is TLV type dot trans session expiry. Okay. Now, if I leave this as is, right, and we'll set a breakpoint here, we'll run this. Oops, hang on, I gotta build it first. Build. Let's just fire up MSF console because we will need a listener. I see you guys are getting a lesson from OzJock in how to speak Aussie. Alright, so if we just call get timeouts, this should hit the breakpoint for us. Now if I hit F10 here, this should fail, I believe. See that? Key not found exception. The given key was not present in the dictionary. So we can't go directly into the dictionary and try and get that value out. So what we need to do is we need to have a list of TLVs. Let's go TLVs equals default list of TLV. Add generic collections. And so instead, what we want to be able to do is go if where are we? If request.tlvs.try get value, and we go TLV type transition expiry, and then we go out TLVs. That should give us a reference, right? That means that TLV's array, list, should be populated. If it doesn't contain it, then we should effectively ignore it, right? But if it does have it, then clearly we want to do something with it. Now, is this the little doohickey that we've got here, this command handler? See how the command handler doesn't have access to the current session, so we might actually have to move this. We may well have put some command handling functionality in the server. Anyway, here you go. Let's do it here. So let's put that in like this.plugin manager. This probably makes a lot more sense actually. So to do it here, transport set timeouts. For consistency, we might. I was working on something today with the crew, and man, it was messy because my Vim plugin was just not working for me, and I felt like a fish out of water. It was really bad. Okay, let's do this. So if we have a session expiry, now the session expiry, I believe, is uint. Now, when we set the session expiry, what we're actually saying is we want the session to expire certain amount of seconds into the future. I believe that's how it works. So let's just have a look at the existing implementation in native, which I think would be request core transport set timeouts, maybe not. Okay, base.c, remote request. I wonder why it's got remote written. That's a bit strange. Okay, so there's the implementation. So what do we do here? So when we've got a session expiration, so expiration is when the session expires. So here you can see we've got expiry time is expiry timeout. Aha, so we are just extending it based on expiration timeout. Okay, so that means all we have to do in the case where we have a value that is specified for the session expiry, we can take that as the number of seconds and we can just add it to whatever the current one is. Hey Mugu. Read some of the blog. Rastamouse.me is mine, yeah. No shit. Okay, so this .session dot. Now the funny thing is the session timeout actually hangs off the expiry, even though we're specifying transport related timeout. So it's a little bit of a conflation thing. So we set the session expiry when setting transport related timeouts, which is just a little bit shit, but it is what it is. So what we want to do is we want to go set the session expiry equals this dot session dot expiry dot add seconds. Okay, what we should also do is check and TLVs dot length count is greater than 0. Make sure that there's at least 1. So then what we can do is go TLVs 0, get the first value out, and value as D word. There we go. Simple as that. So we pull that value out as the number of seconds and we extend our session expiry. Okay, simple as that. Not too difficult, is it? So we do similar things now with comms expiry, right? Which currently isn't that much of a thing, I don't believe, but it's hanging off the current transports. So we should be able to go, where are we? This dot current transport. See how it's got a configuration hanging off it. What else have we got? Comms timeout. That's just a uint. So we need to basically do the same thing here, right? So instead of session expiry, we want comms timeout. And we're going to do this dot, TLVs 0 dot value as D word, because I believe that that's an uint as well. Yep, it is. Simple as that, right? So now request.tlvs try get value. This time, what are we doing? We are doing retry total and retry wait. Trans retry total. Okay. Config.retry total. This should also be a uint. Okay, and we should be able to do the same with retry wait. Simple as that. Okay, so we're just overriding those values. Alrighty. Does that make sense? I'll just carry on. You guys keep talking. Now, as you can see, we're just going to add all of these things back. The difference being that suppose we keep track of this session expiry end in the native version, but we're not going to do that here. But what I think I will do is we're going to have to do some basic math anyway. Okay, so response.add, I think that's what we do, don't we? Add a TLV type of, let's do retry total, is that, wait is that, TLV type trans com timeout is config comms timeout, and the session expiry is the different one. Session expiry. Now, because our session expiry is at date time, we basically need to get a time span. So this would be this.session.expiry minus datetime.utc now, because we're dealing with UTCs, right? So that gives us the time span, and we need to convert that to seconds. Gets the seconds component. So what we don't want that, we want total seconds. So that's how long it's going to take. Okay, so that will return, what is it, double. We don't want a double. We know it's a uint, so we're just going to cast that to a uint. Now we also have to add the result, so response.result equals packet result dot success, and from there we should be in a good space. Okay, let's build that. Now let's see if it works. So if we run this, we go get timeouts. What do we get? Look at that. Session expiry, 22nd of the 7th. So that's a week from now at 8:25, which is pretty much exactly a week from now. Comms timeout 300 second, retry total, etc. Now, if we go set timeouts, you'll see that we can specify comms, retry total, retry wait, and expiration. So expiration timeout is the session timeout. Session timeout. So what we should be able to do to actually do a bit of a funky test, we should be able to go set timeouts X. Let's set the session timeout to 30 seconds from now and see if that get the session expiry update actually works. And then we'll let it expire. In fact, we'll do it in 10 seconds. Ooh, see that? That's wrong. 2019 07 22. That's still a week from now, right? So when we call set timeouts, that timeout should have been modified. So we've done something silly. Let's have a look. Session.expiry. Now that's the problem. What should happen here is we're gonna have to stop that. That's not what I wanted to do. Can anyone tell me what I should have done? Datetime.utc now, .add seconds. You all gone quiet. Must be boring. So let's try that again. Get timeouts, set timeouts X 10 seconds. There we go. Although that doesn't look right. See, we went from, I guess maybe that went quickly. I wasn't fast enough. But let's see what happens. Whether we've actually implemented our timeout thing correctly. Ah, actually we haven't, have we? You were working on time. That's true. So this is interesting, right? Because I'm pretty sure we haven't actually done anything with session expiry. as far as polling of the transport is concerned, because we don't do sort of timeout based polling, right? And herein lies the problem. So what we need to do is check seconds. There you go. So check session expiry is called pretty much all the time. Now packet dispatch loop. We don't do any session expiry checking in here, do we? So while we're doing this, we should also be going check session expiry. Now I'm just going to build this and run this, because what I'm going to do is exactly what I did just now. I'm going to call set timeouts like 3 seconds. Now, nothing should happen. But if I try and do something now, will it expire? There you go. So that has expired because, see how we've got this, stream does not support, right? Okay, so we've got an exception being thrown at this point. But what we need to do is actually kill off our session when the expiry has been met, and not just when someone's trying to read data off the wire. So you see in check session expiry we call it timeout. Now, do we actually catch that somewhere else? Pretty sure we do, don't we? Here we go, clean up and shut down. So we should effectively reach here, dispose of the transports and bail out. Our problem is that we're currently sitting down on the socket and we're waiting for data to come in. So we don't actually have the ability right now on our socket to be able to say, hey, we're not reading any data just yet. Let's stop waiting for data and seeing if there's anything else going on like session expiry. So we'll leave this for now. We'll come back to it because that's not particularly amazing. I don't remember any of this code. Must have been from a session I missed. Well, we're up to number 21 now. So unless you've watched 20 videos and nearly 40 something hours of content, you may well have done. Try being on this side, hey? Anyway, those values are being set appropriately by the looks. So what we should do while we're at it, test the other ones. So we'll go set timeouts. What was it again? So comms timeout will change to 100. Retry total will change to 500. Retry wait time will set to what would it be? 50? There we go. So they do actually work. They are being set as we would expect. Don't you love how this little bit of math isn't 100% accurate based on the exact point in time where you ask? That conversion of a value when you're figuring out how many seconds left may be slightly different. Try being nice use of the emote there, Rasta. Okay, so the get timeout stuff I think is done well enough. We need to sort of wire in the handling of those things appropriately, but that comes when we properly implement all of the transports and the failover of those transports and the handling of the comms and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, anyway, is what it is. I agree that ±1 is unacceptable, but I can't be figuring out. Maybe we should just truncate it down to what would it be? Force it to be the lower of the two. But then again, that may actually be, that's exactly what it's doing anyway. Okay, so with that out of the way, what other commands are left we had up here? So we've done get and set timeout, which is cool. Machine ID works. We don't worry about pry or quit or read. Resource, run, session, set timeouts, use. Use is to do with loading extensions, obviously, which we'll get to down the track. So like for now, I guess that's a bunch of the core related bits and pieces out of the way. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. So now what we need to do is, Moj Reeves, what is the story about Windows Defender exclusion? Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, there are a couple of funny tales there, Mugu. The main one is like, I don't want to just turn Windows Defender off all the time on my desktop in case someone owns me, because I run Windows 10 on my desktop. And the thing is that, you know, I build Meterpreter binaries, I build other binaries that we use for targeting clients with, and so I build malware on the desktop, and I don't want Defender picking up on it. So when I recompile Meterpreter, Defender goes, hang on a second, what are you doing? And it actually started going a step further and going, hang on, if something writes Meterpreter to disk, then I'm going to kill the thing that wrote Meterpreter to disk, as well as removing that thing from disk. So I don't know whether you remember a few streams ago, maybe 2 streams ago, 3 streams ago, perhaps, when I built the native Meterpreter. Sorry, not built the Meterpreter. I dropped a stager from MSF Venom onto a share folder. And that share folder inside the virtual machine was available on the host. And the host had restarted Windows Defender, which I turn off all the time. And it just turns itself back on. So Defender had noticed that the stager had been written to disk, and then it went, hang on, what wrote it to disk? It was that VMware process, and terminated the VM. So that's how my VM kind of went kaput midstream, because yeah, it just shat itself. So anyway, that's one case where Defender is picking up on stuff that I don't want it to, but there are plenty of cases where I've said, here are some folders that I know I build malware to, and you know, this is out of the box sort of stuff, and I don't want Windows Defender picking up on it, but it constantly turns itself back on and ignores the exclusion list. So that's why I end up having to turn it off. So I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place there. I really want it to turn itself, like it just ignore the exclusion zones so that I can leave everything else as is. But yeah, just not happening. It sucks, eh? Okay. Let's do something a little bit more interesting. So maybe we could implement, what do we got here? File system commands, cat. See, not all of the standard API options are here. So if we go back over here and run this, we should get another session. If we look in here, we probably got quite a few more. Yeah, so we need to implement all of these. Ah, look at this. Sleep, we need to do the sleep, we need to do the switching transports. So these are other bits and pieces that we've missed. I'm not going to worry so much about the Unicode encoding at this point. We'll come back to that, I think. So you can see we've got quite a few more here, like ls and whatnot. The reason why they didn't appear in our previous list is because when we loaded standard API, we only returned the subset of commands that we currently supported, and that's effectively what's being shown, although it's not working perfectly from what we can tell. For what it's worth, I have an exclusion for a payload directory that I built and never had issues with it. Yeah, but that's the thing, like I thought I had that, and it's just been a pain in the ass. So go figure, hey. It's bizarre. All right, well, let's have a look at implementing something. You guys want to pick something out of the file system commands, or maybe the system command? Execute. You see, executing a command is a complex beast, and we'll come back to that in a separate stream. We could do things like getenv. Getenv is a really easy one. Cat. Should we do cat? Read the contents of the file. We can do cat. Cat's pretty easy, right? let's just hope that it's nowhere near as tricky as it could be. So let's go ag def cmd cat. Let's open that one up, cmd cat, and then that just goes, ooh. Now here, this is where there's dragons, because behind the scenes, this here does some interesting bits and pieces. You see how what this is actually doing is it's creating a file descriptor, right? So you see I've got fs file new. So if we go in here and search for, actually we don't need to search, we can just go to source, standard API, extensions, standard API, server, fs. So let's go file for now. So inside here we've got, see we've got file channel write, file channel close, file channel read, file channel EFF, file channel. We might actually start having to work on file channels. So you'll see here we've got this file channel new, sorry, file channel open. I think that actually maps to this. So let's open up librex post Meterpreter extensions, standard API, fs file.rb. Okay, so see how we create this is a file class. So if we have, oh, look at this, standard API fs separator, far out. So that literally just returns whatever the separator is on the target. That's an easy one to create. Well, you see, raster mouse, as lovely as read all text would be, that is a beautiful abstraction that we can't afford to use here, because we actually open file channels to read the data, and yeah, there's a lot more stuff in here. Let's look for new. Client fs file new, here we go. It's got to be in here somewhere. Def new, is there a def file dot new? Ag def file dot new. It's not there. Or do we just have to go like in it? Inside librex post. Oops. Yes, it's not called new. I think it's because I need to do is it init, initialize? Yeah, that's it there. Righto, so file descriptor, you'll see here, this is where we're actually calling it from. Where are we? Cat. So before it even does that, it says, you know, is that a directory? So it's calling file stat, and then it says file new, and then it reads all of the data from that file descriptor. So that file descriptor, I believe, will open a channel. So if we go file D, it invokes this underscore open. Check it out. Creates a file channel. So we need to be able to implement channels. Savage. So there's an example of where we have to work on building the channel infrastructure out. Separator. I'm going to implement this one because it's super easy. Here we go. Standard API FS separator. I'm going to do this because it's really easy. That's a super easy win. There's a lot of hidden things like this that behind the scenes you just don't see. So yeah, cat is unfortunately not so easy, but we are going to do this FS separator because that is something that we can at least invoke and test. So let's go back to, where are we at? It's going to be in standard API, isn't it? Standard API, net config, standard API plugin, sysconfig. We may need to we have to create a new file. Now, the existing one is in extension state API server FS file. So we might just go add class. FS stands for file system, I believe. So we might have to go file system. What I'm going to do for now, I think I might just leave it as file system. Or do you think maybe we should have a folder called file system, and underneath that we can have dir and file? I don't know. I don't know. Structuring code is hard, yo. Let's add. I'm just going to call it file system for now. Public. Now, do we actually instantiate these? I believe we do, don't we? So under standard API plugin, here you go. We have a bunch of them. This dot file system equals new file system, and we will. Oh, I can't type. Public class file system. Okay, so we are going to need to register this dot file system dot register this dot name. Okay, internal void. We'll make that public. String name. Now we need to go manager dot register function name, and the method is standard API file separator. Is that what it was? FS separator. Yes, separator. Is it blocking? No, it's not blocking. We need a function. So this is going to be this dot. We'll call it get file system separator. Generate method. All right. That's going to be a request, and that's going to be a response. We're going to return continue. Now, we don't actually have to pull anything out of the request, right? Didn't you decide against that type of code structure a few weeks back? Yeah, I did. But, you know, if it gets messy, we'll see how we go. We're quite within our rights to refactor as we go, yeah? Okay, so file system separator. This is pretty easy to do, right? We should be able to get that straight out of the environment, I believe. Is it the environment? Maybe it's out of IO. System directory. Where is it? Get command line args, get environment variables, get folder path, get logical drives. I mean, we kind of know because we're on Windows at the moment, but I don't want to assume because behind the scenes that could change. System.io. Maybe directory dot. There is a constant in here. Pretty sure. I thought it was in the environment. Can anyone remember? command line, current directory, exit code, expand, fail fast, get command line, get environment, get folder path, get logical drives, machine name, new line. Okay, so that's why that's the one I'm thinking of, is new line. Process account, stack trace system, version working set. The Western guy. Welcome. .NET get file system separator. Path.directories. There you go. Fucking hell. System.io.path.directory separator char. There it is. Yeah, so path.join Mugu. We'll use it. Thank you for the follow, the Western guy. Very nice to have you on stream. Woohoo! The bot is serving its purpose. Isn't that fantastic? The only one in the channel in Twitch who is hacking. Really? Well, I am actually coding. Trying to get more and more features of this version of Meterp going, you know, is what it is. Now, I believe we need to be able to go response.add TLV type standard API. I don't think we even have it. Maybe we don't. Oh, it's a string. TLV type string. Pretty sure that's all it is, right? Yeah, it just pulls out TLV type string. So that's what it needs to be. So we pass in a string. Now the problem is that this thing actually has it's a character. So let's pull that out, shove it in and go to string. And that should be it. Response.result equals packet result.success. That should be it, right? Biggest badass. Yeah, let's go with that. Not. Okay, now we need to add into standard API version 4. We need to add an existing item, which is 3 file system. We make sure we add that as a link, and that should build. There we go. Alrighty, let's see what happens. Spin it up. I actually need to spin up the listener. So let's do that again. So we need to be able to do file.separator. Right, you see what we've got here. Separator client.fs.file.separator. All right. Spin that up. Sessions -1. Okay, are we good? So we need to go, we're gonna have to duck into IRB. We go client.fs. What was it? File.separator. Separator. Undefined method. FS. Oh, okay. So the reason why FS isn't wired in is because... Ooh. That's interesting. I don't know why that's not working. So what should happen here is that the client itself, the instance of the client, should be accessible from here, but it's not. Session. See how it says you are in the client set. Oh, so if I'm in the object. Aha, okay, so I don't need to reference client. Okay, so we can go fs.file.separator. Clearly I can't type. Separator. There we go. All right, so what do we got here? Response should have a TLV in it. Where are we? String, and the value is backslash. So it timed out, so let's get rid of our breakpoint. And we'll run that again. And there it is, backslash. So it works. Yay! Woohoo! Elite hacks. All elite hacks. We implemented the separator. How very exciting. Not really. Not really. Very, very easy. I think what we should probably do is we got the get ems. I think I'm going to do the environment variable stuff now because that's really, really easy to add. The separator in Windows. Yeah, I know, but like, so you see how the reason why it's being, if I print that, so if I go standard error dot puts, you see it just spits it out as a backslash, but it's showing you in code. So that's why you can see the double, but when you print it, it's just a single. Yeah. That's Ruby trying to be smart. Okay, so we can exit out of that, and we can exit out of that. Now, what I wanted to do, we need to go back to standard API FS. I'm going to quit out of that, and this, and we're going to go def cmd get env. So it's in sys cmd get env. Oh, there's a get PID as well. We can probably do this under process. Let's do some simple stuff like get env. We should do get sid. So all of these things are hidden behind the scenes. We need to actually go through and implement them. All right, so get the value of one or more environment variables from the target. This is quite handy. So sys config get envs. So that would be edit standard API sys config.rb get envs. Here we go. So for each one of the things that we want to get, we need to pass in this type env variable, which is a standard API thing. Send that through and then parse a bunch of groups that say this is the variable you requested and this is the value that you got back. Okay? So let's do that. Standard API sysconfig getenv. Now we already have, I believe, a sysconfig in here. So here we go. So let's do this. A cheat sysconfig getenv. Was it plural or was it singular? It was singular. Get env. Get sysinfo, get env. Okay. So let's take these. Now for each one of these things, we need to loop through. Now, we kind of should assume that we're going to be able to get a list of elements out. So let's go for each var. Let's go value in request.tlvs tlv type dot, what was it? It was env variable. S dot standard API. Do we have an env variable? I don't think we do. We're going to have to go find it. Let's dig that out of our existing implementation. We'll do it over here, I think. Env variable is a string I'm going to go to the C code because that's the only one that I should be trusting, right? Here it is. So in variable environment stuff, we need all of these. So let's take that and we'll go back to the definition of the TLV types. Transport, migration, pivot, standard API. We can probably put it sort of in the middle where it kind of belongs, which is somewhere around here. Right, so what do we got? Standard API end variable, which is a meta type of string, and standard API plugin. Got another follow, Tux6. Well, thank you for the follow. Standard API plugin plus 1100 U. Okay, so this would be end value, which is a string. And then we've got end group, which is a group. Standard API plugin 2. Okay, so one thing I need to do is just quickly replace all instances of open bracket standard API plugin. So we'll just do that with standard API. There we go. I had a space in there that I really didn't need. All right, so standard API end variable. I've got those in there now. Standard API end variable. So for each one of these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. We're going to include system, oops, using system.link, because I like to have this. So I'm just going to go select. And so for every one of these TLVs, we're just going to go TLV dot value as string. That will give us the values straight away as strings. So then we can go environment.get environment variable. Oh, look at this. What does this do? Retrieves all environment variable names. Ah, yeah, we don't really want that. Let's do get environment variable and we just give it the value. Okay, and var equals that. Okay, and now for each one of these, we need to be able to create a group and wire them in. Ooh, I typoed group. Did I? Did I? Hey, Tux. Is computer science the right major to be in if I'm interested? Yeah, absolutely, man. ComSci is a fantastic degree to get behind. Now, full disclosure, I did ComSci when I was at uni. But back then they did dive into a lot more lower level stuff, which I thought was useful. I can't really say now whether or not there is a the same level of detail, the same sort of low level stuff. But if the degrees now are similar to the ones that I went through, I would give it a huge thumbs up because they do give you some really good coverage into some low level stuff. Thank you, I did mistype group. You're a legend, Rasta. Thank you for that, mate. Does that answer your question, Tux? What are you thinking of doing, mate? Where are you thinking of going? How close are you? But I honestly think ComSci is great. Some other people may have some differing opinions. So, let's see what everyone else thinks. Yeah, the bits for typos does seem to be working, doesn't it? That was a good idea, Atwolf. Thank you for that. So what we need to do is we need to go env group equals response dot add group TLV type dot standard API env group, and then we can go env group dot add TLV type standard API env variable. So we need to put the actual. You know what we should do is the other way around, right? So this shouldn't be value, this should be the env var, and this should be the value. That makes more sense. So env and value. All right, that wasn't so bad, was it? Yeah, look, I'm not necessarily interested in abusing the privilege. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm a nice person. People without CS degree need a lot to learn, but yeah, look, the best combination is a self-learner who has formal education. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other, but I would say the combination of the two is what would stand out to me if I was an employer looking to hire someone, particularly if they're new. Currently a year away from attending UC Davis. Currently community college working on transfer. All security classes listed as CIS. I plan to take them anyways. Yeah, no worries, man. Look, I think it's a really good thing to do. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll get some really good fundamentals, and having something like that under your belt gives you that ticket to that club, right? Unfortunately, we're at a point in our lives where having a formal education will make it a little easier for you to get a job. I'm not going to say that I personally would expect it, but I'm going to say a lot of employers will look at that and go, "Hey, that's really great that you've got that behind you." But yeah, like I said, it's very hard to say what's better than anything else. Hey, angry little hamster, welcome back to the stream. It's nice to see you again. Thank you for rejoining. Okay, well, let's see if this getenv thing behaves. So yeah, anyway, final note, Tuck 6. Like if I was looking to hire someone, and I've had a couple of people that have asked this question in the past, and I go, what a formal education says to me is that you can stick to a topic or a set of topics for an extended period of time, and you can produce content which is an exam result or an assessment result of some kind to a sufficient level to pass. And so that says to me as a potential employer, this person will do the things that they like and the things that they don't like to a sufficient level over an extended period of time. That's what a formal education or a bachelor's degree says to me. It doesn't really say much more, but that's the value that I get out of it. The self-starter and the self-learner thing on top of that is just a huge plus. So, I mean, to me, a lot of the time, it doesn't have to be a tech-related degree for me to consider someone as a viable option. It's more about aptitude and attitude than anything else. Angry Yantos just subscribed. Oh, on YouTube by the looks of it. That's a win. Okay, so where do we get to? I need to spin this up again, don't I? Oh, you agree with me, Rasta? Yeah, it's like do you need a comp-sci degree? Do you need an IT degree? No. Like there's a lot of people who work in security that don't have those degrees. So there's a lot of people who have done arts and other sciences and engineering. There's people who have done medicine. There are people who have done like really far out crazy stuff like astrophysics and whatnot. And they come in and they smash the security thing. But the point is that having that ticket, people will look at that and go, they're able to dedicate their time and their focus and their effort into one thing. And regardless of how painful it is, they'll push through and get it done. Okay, so getenv. I think I just broke it. That's pretty funny. I'm gonna just go if I basically just screwed myself in exactly the way I didn't want to screw myself. So let's go var TLVs equals default list of TLV, and then we're going to go if request.tlvs try get value of that out of TLVs. Then we're going to do this. Collections generic. So we don't need to dive into this again because we've got that. Whoops. I hate it when I fat finger like that. We want to go TLVs.select value as string. All right, let's try that again. I'm currently learning Java as all my curriculum in school is in Java. What language do you suggest to learn in the future? Oh, I've missed out on a couple. Learn about CCNA course materials to help you a lot. Yep, I think so. It depends on what area of security you want to go into. But I would agree with that. Network-related stuff is a really good thing to do. As a hiring manager in my last place, I looked for those things. There you go. So Rasta is on the same page as me. Currently learning Java. Look, I personally hate Java, and I don't think it's a great language to be teaching people who want to learn programming. But it is what it is, and it's unfortunately taught everywhere. I would recommend, if you were looking to get what you want to learn is not a language, but how to write code or how to solve problems using code. So for me, that is pick a scripting language so that has a really shitty type system, and Python and Ruby are perfect examples of that. Pick something that has a type system which isn't going to make you want to stab yourself in the face, and that's like C#, I think is a really good example. Yeah, let's not go there, Mugu. Don't say that C# is a child of Java. C# was based on what Java should have been. So when Anders and Eric decided to make C#, they learned from the lessons that Java failed at, and they built a language that didn't suck. So Java is horrible and C# is less so. And then on top of that, pick something that is has a really good type system, and that is preferably functional. Something like Haskell, or depending on how far you want to go. Haskell's the extreme. You could look at OCaml. You could look at F#, which runs on the CLR as well. But try and get visibility of all the different types. Something imperative, something functional, something logical, and play with those things. Yeah, that bias is not surprising at all. But look, learning Java is a good thing to do in the grand scheme of things, but I don't see it as an ideal starting point for people who are learning to code. That's just my humble opinion. Okay, so if we get M's now and pass in nothing, that's better. We didn't break anything. Path. Okay, there we go. Variable value. So we got the path, so we should be able to go get env. Is it user domain? Is that one? Valtrain. So we should be able to pass these things in, like Windir and program files. There you go. So that works. It's getting all the things that we would like. So that's a winner. Teacher would also constantly say that Java would replace every other language. Yeah, nope. Ended up just not doing a class. Expected based on programming. Love a good REPL. Is that RPL? Bishop? Timsies? Do you mean a REPL, like a read, evaluate, print loop? Something that you can interact with? Because that's certainly a winner. But you can get that. I mean, have a look at this. This is arguably a REPL. So if I hit a breakpoint here, in some ways this is a REPL, right? Because I can do things in here like 1 plus 2. Oops. Fat finger. So I can actually do it in the immediate window, but yeah, is what it is. Still more widely used in C#. Well, yeah, it is. That doesn't make it good. But I find that it comes down to personal preference, but knowing a couple languages benefit you. Yeah, the point is like C# is a screwdriver, Java is a blunt instrument. All these different languages are actually different tools. And so to me, it's like saying I'm a C# dev is like saying I'm a carpenter that only uses a screwdriver. You should be able to use a number of different languages to be able to solve a problem. So that's basically where I sit. But you know, learning any language and adding it to your toolkit is a good thing to do. Assembly, whitespace, brainfuck. Like there are so many fantastic esoteric options. Look, I have a real soft spot for Erlang, which a lot of people already know, but that is a arguably loosely typed, strictly evaluated functional language based on Prolog. So it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it solves a subset of problems really, really well. Righto, let's go back to doing something else. What else we got here? Ooh, get drivers. Can't remember how I implemented that in the native version. I'll have to come back to that. I have the full source code of Windows printed in a book in whitespace. One of shove that on shove that on eBay. I'm sure you'll make it an absolute killing. That's pretty funny. Did we do local time? I don't think we did. Maybe we should do local time. Standard API. So let's do local time. Local time is a handy one. That's in sysconfig as well. Let's shove that in. Let's just have a look at the current implementation again. Make sure that we are doing the things that we need to be able to do. Matching functionality. So let's see what it's doing here. It is using get time zone information and get local time. Because what we want is a time, which is a string in the format of this. Okay, so if we looked at an existing one, let's go back to, hang on, let's fire up one of these. So local time is actually really handy. So here you go, local date time. So this is what we're returning, right? We're returning year, month, day, blah, 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 with milliseconds here. Oz Eastern Standard Time UTC plus 10. So I found myself constantly wanting to know what the target time was on the remote host for when I was doing things like executing a scheduled task, for example. So that's why I did this. And we want to know what the local time is and whether, like, you know, what time zone it happens to be in. So we've got, it's 9:15. I think this is probably a good one to tackle next. So let's do that. Sysconfig local time. And we'll make sure that we get feature parity here. Config local time. Get local time. Whoops. Okay, get local time. Now we are going to be returning all the usual things. There were programs released in assembly in Windows. Yeah, so true. Est by Donald 2. Hello, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining in. What will it become? Are you talking about this particular command or what this thing is that we're currently working on? Okay, so let's go back to our... Okay, so we are calling get time zone information. This project, so I'm going to do... Yeah, okay, cool, man. If you type bang what, it'll explain in brief terms what we're working on. Thank you, Rasta. So that's what we're currently looking to implement. It's a very big job, just so that you know. We're early days. This is part 21 of who knows, but we're building quite a bit of functionality. Press Alt F4. I heard that. Open up the owner script. Yeah, thanks. That is an age-old joke. You know, the Alt fax machine days of IRC where people would hold down Alt and then press F1, F2, F3, F4, and they hit F4 and boom, the application disappears off the desktop. Funny stuff, fun times. I'm not falling for it. Get time zone information in .NET. So what I want to do is, here we go. Really? Please don't p invoke. Don't. Ugh, crikey. Okay, .NET get local time. There's going to be something in here. Here we go. This is more like it. This is what we want to see. Local zone. Time zone.get. Look at this. This is beautiful. That's exactly what we want to see. In fact, this like datetime.now is probably more than capable of doing everything that we want to see. My browser just says p invoke. No. Seppi, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Fingers crossed that we don't mess it up. Control W maximizes space, the internet speed and all. I know. Your trolling game needs work, my friend. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back over here. So what we want to do is we want, we'll go var now equals datetime.now. We're not going to go UTC now. We're just going to go now. And then we're going to go dot to string. Now, if we format dates, we should be able to do, what would it be? Y. Month, day, hour, minute. Maybe it's second. I wonder if we can pull the documentation out. Now this is interesting, isn't it? So time zone, local zone dot standard name. So what we might do, var zone equals time zone dot current time zone. Let's set a breakpoint there. Build. And I just want to see what these objects contain. Do you know win plus F4 is mute in Skype? No, I didn't know that, but given that I don't use Skype, I don't even have it installed, that's something that I'm not even going to try. Okay, here we go. Let's kick that off. Local time. Right, what do we get? Let's go now. Okay, so that's good. That's kind of what we want to see. Zone. AUS. Oh, look at that. Standard name. So we only want to know if it's currently daylight savings. So we want to choose one of these. So the current zone has those two, but we need to know whether or not, what is it? Date time.now is daylight savings time. So that'll be false. That's pretty cool. So that means we can probably go now. Now let's edit that. We're going to go string.format. I'm going to put this in like this. So we're going to start with 0. Hopefully this will behave itself. Let's build that again. Run it again. Okay. Oh, I didn't even pass something in. Oh, I'm dumb. So this needs to be, change that to result. Now equals datetime.now. We're going to use this in a couple of different ways. So here we're going to go now. And we're going to go 1. We're going to go now dot is daylight saving time. We'll get the zone. And if it's daylight saving, then we want to go zone dot Ah, it already has it in the zone as well. Zone dot daylight name. Otherwise, zone dot standard name. Now the question is, if I just do to string without doing any of that, which is what that should do behind the scenes, what will that look like? For 24-hour clock. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Angry. Let's do that again. Nice one. Local time. Righto. So the result. Fizzer. Zone.toString. Yeah, that's really not helpful. I was kind of hoping that zone takes 0. Oh, okay, so what does it take? Oh, it takes a date time. Yeah, so that's really not going to give us what we want. So what we want instead is now.is daylight savings time. If it is, we're going to zone dot daylight name, zone dot standard name. Okay, let's do that again. Sessions -1, local time. Okay, Oz Eastern Standard Time. So again, looking back on what we had up here, Oz Eastern Standard Time, and then we wanted the details of the zone as far as the time offset is concerned. So let's do that as well. Let's just put this on a new line. And this is going to be UTC followed by whatever it is that we want to do. Where is that example? So plus 1,000 effectively. Now how are we going to get that out? Now dot, let's see if there's something in here. Get datetime formats, kind. Oh, that'll return whether it's like a UTC or not. File time to UTC. What does that return? Along. So that returns the UTC time. I want to get the UTC offset is effectively what I'm looking for. So, oh, here it is. Current offset. Time span, local zone. So what we do, get the current coordinated universal time in UTC offset. So the offset is current offset, local zone, get UTC offset from the current date. Current date is datetime.now. So we just need our zone and we get UTC offset. Okay, that doesn't look so bad. Okay, so var offset equals zone.get UTC offset for now. Let's just have a look at what that looks like before I wire it in. Yeah, there should only be one zone. I agree. We've actually spoken about this on stream in the past. Oops. Local time. So what does this say? Offset equals, look at that, 10 hours. Okay, so what can we do here? Total hours. Hours is 10, total hours is a double. Cool. So what I might do then is, to make it consistent, now if the UTC, we're going to actually have to do two things. So I have to go UTC. Because if it's negative... Wait up a sec. Let me just look at that again. Just want to make sure that we handle negatives properly. So the offset is 10. Now, let's cheat for a second. Now, I'm going to have then equals now dot add hours. We're going to take, let's say 14 hours off. Okay, so I'm going to have offset 2 zone. Ooh, is that going to work? Hang on. Current time zone. New time zone. I guess we can't. I want to get a different time zone. Change local time zone. Yeah, I probably should do that. That's a good idea. Let's do that for testing. All right, so what I want to do. UTC. We're going to have 2 and 3. Okay, and for 2, we're going to say offset is greater than 0. If it is, we're going to have plus. If it's not, we're going to have minus. And then we're going to have offset dot total hours times 100. Offset dot total hours is greater than 0. All right, let's do this. Oh, I've got to return the result, don't I? That'd be good. Set the breakpoint again. Okay, so result equals UTC plus 1000. Okay, cool. Response.add TLV type dot standard API. What is it looking for? Local date time. Standard API. Local date time. Maybe we should just call it date time. Local date time. We know it's going to be a string. We'll just go result. Just got to find out what the value is. Okay, type local date time. Let's pull it out of here again to be 100% certain. There it is. It is a string 1048. String 1048. Let's take that and go to the def 1048. So it needs to go here. Metatype dot string or standard API plugin plus 1048 U. All right. Let's go again. Local time. Oops. There we go. So that should match what we saw up here earlier on. Let's take a copy of it so that we can be 100% certain that it's accurate. We didn't do the milliseconds, did we? Milliseconds. Yeah, I thought about the offset. Having minutes, so it could be like 10.5, which isn't going to work, is it? But if we look at what this does. Ooh. What is this doing? Looks like we're doing the same thing here anyway. So bias is greater than 0. I wonder if there is an equivalent of bias in our zone. Let's have a look. Offset dot. It doesn't have. Yeah, the offset is a time span. Seconds, subtract. Maybe what we should do is I don't even know whether this would work. Get minutes and diff by 6. Yeah. But we kind of, I assume that if we were going to do that, we would want, let's say if it was 11.5 hours, it would be 1130 rather than 1150, right? Does that make sense? Anyway, before we carry on, let's just change our locale. Come on. They're infuriating. Okay, I don't want to talk to Cortana. Give me the settings. Where are we? System, sound, devices, time and language. Here we go. Date and time, region and language. Okay, so let's change our region to something in the past. And let's be fair, nothing is more in the past right now than the US of A. No, I'm kidding. United States. Give you local content. Actually, we want to set time zone. Oh, crikey. Change time zone. This is where we want it. Okay, so let's go minus. Let's go to Havana. And see what that gives us. It's pretty savage, I know. Sorry about that. Okay, local time. What do we get now? Oof. It's -4. We obviously don't want the negative in there. Okay, so that's easy fixed. We can just do string.empty here. Now what we should do, let me pick a different time zone. It's got to be an offset that's halfway. There's one, 8:45. 4, 2, 1. Come on, there's got to be, I want to see a negative. There we go, Newfoundland. Okay. Let's do that. Let's see what this looks like. And now back to our regular program, watching OJ figure out how Windows works. Yes, thank you. Shut up, Tim. There you go. So -250. Now we chose. What did we choose? Newfoundland. Isn't that interesting? So it's saying 3.5. Ah, but daylight savings. That's probably why. Newfoundland daylight time. So we add an hour. Okay. So what we want to be able to do is if we get total hours, total hours here is going to be, there you go, 2.5. So for any non-integer, we want to back to our regular program watching 80 figure out. Yeah. I've just remembered that. Daylight savings, yep. So what I want to do here is instead of offset total hours times 100, we want to get a little bit smarter here. So any integer value we want to times by 60. Sorry, non-integer value we want to times by 60. So what I want to do is go total hours, and I want to truncate that. So math.floor of this times 1,000. Hang on a second. That doesn't take into account negatives. Shit. Or does it? Hang on a second. Let's have a look. Coding's hard, man. Coding is hard. All right, so math.floor of, let's just go minus 1.3. What is that? There you go, minus 2. We don't want to do that. We want to go the other way. Or do we? Because if we go then we go math, no, we'll go offset.total hours minus math.floor offset.total hours. I just want to find a nice, okay, so 0.5. So if we do that and we times that by 60 to get the number of minutes, right? And then we go math.floor of offset.total hours, and we add that. Oops, we need to times that by what? Yeah, that's not gonna work. It would make sense if it was 230, but because, yeah, that's a problem. I don't want to use ceiling though, because ceiling will be a problem in the opposite direction. I just want to do math. That's all. Just want to do math. How hard can it be? Okay, so maybe we just need to cater for the case where, yeah, math is hard. Well, time zones are hard. And it's even harder when you got offsets in two different directions. And yeah, it's nasty. So we kind of, that gives us the offset. We kind of want to go offset.total hours times 100 Right, here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go hours equals math.abs offset.total hours. Okay, and then I'm going to do what I did before. We're going to add offset dot hours plus hours minus math.floor hours. And we're going to times that by 60. Times that by 60. All right, so that's going to give us what are we going to do? UTC offset equals that. And then I'm going to put the negative back in. And here we're just going to go UTC offset. So I'm just going to force it to be positive and then manually insert the negative afterwards. Noon, Moon, Mars. Let's see what this does. Righto, what does the result look like? Minus 230. That's what we want to see. Newfoundland daylight time. Okay. Let's stop this for a sec. Go back in here. We'll change the time zone, and this time we'll go positive, and we'll pick a non-standard. There you go. Chatham Islands. And we'll go again. Local time. Chatham Island Standard Time, UTC plus 12:45. Is that what we chose? Was it 12:45? 12:45. You beauty. There we go, it works. Let's go back to Australia. 2:10 Canberra, Melbourne. I'm actually in Brisbane, so that previous time zone was Wong. Settings, time and language, time zone, UTC, Brisbane, region and language. Let's put this back to Australia. All right. Why we have half-hour time zone, I'm not sure. Yeah, well, I mean, Adelaide is actually on a different time zone too. So if we change time zone. We should see Adelaide, there you go, 9:30. Darwin and Adelaide are on the same time zone. But Darwin doesn't do daylight savings, whereas Adelaide does do daylight savings. See? Brisbane does not do daylight savings, whereas Canberra, Melbourne and Sydney do. Okay, so we have some winning going on. But I find this local time command super useful. I do use it a lot when I'm running Meterpreter on a target machine. It's nice to know where they are, particularly if it's coughing up the what's it called? If it's coughing up the time zone, so you know where the machine is located, that's also pretty helpful. Does your code handle those stupid locations that are more 12 or... that's a good question. Let's check that. I keep pressing the wrong one. Change time zone. So let's do plus 14. Yep, plus 14. And minus international dateline. Yeah, we have a similar issue, Angry, in Australia. We don't have as I don't think we've got as many time zones, but we certainly have some very similar issues to you there. Yeah. Look time. Looks like it's behaving. Okay, so this is interesting though. So according to this, what is the clock say? 11:48 p.m. Oh, okay, so yeah, it is yesterday. Yeah, cool. Okay, so that seems to be working. Wasn't there for you in Sydney and Melbourne weren't synced? Oh yeah, that was fucking stupid. Milliseconds. Yes, let's do milliseconds. I can't remember what it is. Is it F? I don't think it is. Let's just check. .NET date time format milliseconds. There you go. .fff. We should probably do this culture info. But we're not doing that. We're doing toString. Or string.format. But we should probably specify the invariant culture when we do this. I wonder if string.format has an overload with the culture in it. Provider format. Yeah, no. That's fine. Okay, so that's okay. I'm quite happy with that. Let's set my time zone. So to draw a little comparison, Angry, we have, where are we? Adelaide, Perth. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. So we've got 6 as well. Some of which have daylight savings, some of which do not. Crazy, huh? Do we really want milliseconds? Does it really matter? No, but to keep things consistent, we are going to implement them. Local time. There we go. Oh, this is interesting. Look at that. Australia Standard Time. Why did that not have AUS? Oh, that's because I've changed time zone since, yeah. Yeah, that makes the most sense, hey. Hanging K has followed. Thank you for the follow, Hanging. That's very nice of you. Yeah, native does that. The native version does indeed do that. So let's scroll back up to where we did it, just for proof. Raster mouse. There it is there. And this time zone is different because I've just set it back to Brisbane, which is why Australia Standard Time. So then if I ran a native version now, which I will do just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Sessions -1 local time. There you go. It's doing the same thing. Cool, huh? All right. Where are we at? It is 10 to 10. We've bashed out a few features. That's pretty cool. Hey, Barney, you've rocked up just as we're finishing up, my friend. So, what do? We implemented a bunch of standard API and core features. We kind of dodged a couple of bullets again because I didn't want to dive too deep. I think what I'm going to have to do is plan on doing a longer stream to cover off building some channel related functions. Like we're getting to a point where we've got to work on some of the more pointy stuff again. And in order to sort of get that out and build it up in such a way where we can validate a test without breaking it across thousands of streams, I'm thinking what we're going to have to do is implement channels sort of in one big hit. So that'll require a stream that might be 3 or 4 hours long. So unless you guys are happy to break it across streams, I'm thinking maybe bashing core sort of channel functionality out in one go. It would probably be worth doing it in a single hit. But anyway, cast your votes. Let me know what you think on that. But yeah, that was, it's good to see a few commands come out. Few more features being built into the core of Meterp. Code is a little bit messy. We are going to clean it up. I should probably do things like remove and sort usings, things like that. We actually don't need this RTL get version thing anymore because I got rid of that. That's all good. So yeah, anyway, please let me know what you guys want to see. Long stream would be nice, but don't burn out on it. Yeah. So what I think we can probably bash channel related stuff out, at least if we focus on one particular type of channel. I think the file channel is the one that would make the most sense. We could probably get that done pretty quickly. Canberra peeps at the rock climb charity. Yeah, Cliff Preserve, climbing access and Grampians. Yeah, amen to that, Barney. That's a huge, huge issue right now for climbers in Australia. So anyway, I won't get on my little soapbox about that. But as usual, I would like to say that I'm very grateful for everyone coming along, asking their questions, having the chats, stopping me from doing silly typos and all that sort of stuff, and offering insights and keeping me sane and keeping me company. And for those people who continue to support me on Patreon and subscribe on Twitch and offer all these lovely comments, I am, as always, very grateful for your support. So thank you. I am very, very humbled by your continued support. It's a wonderful thing. So hit me up on Discord if you have any questions. Hit me up on Twits if you have any questions. Hit me up anywhere if you have any questions. And in the meantime, you'll get me on all of those media. I'll hopefully be back at this again on Thursday. Bash some other stuff out. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to do like a good chunky stream on a weekend, and that will give us coverage from other time zones as well. Maybe the Yanks and the UK folks can be up, or Eastern Europeans or whatever, without actually having to be at work. So 24-hour stream, that would kill me. But we'll see. Maybe I should do that for charity. Do a 24-hour stream for charity or something. 24-hour coding stream. Throw some money at some good people who deserve it more than me. All right, that's me done, folks. Thanks again, and I will chat to you soon. In the meantime, be good to each other.